The crystalline causeway arched above Arca Primus like a ribbon of frozen light. Beneath its transparent floor stretched the menagerie, habitats carved into glass spheres, each floating within a gravity lattice. In one sphere, a 3-ton predator basked under false suns, its fanged jaws parted in sleep. In another, avian hunters swooped between sky islands threaded with energy nets. Nobles drifted past on their grab chairs, sipping jeweled drinks and murmuring with satisfaction at the spectacle. Dr. Mara Kepler walked in step with the music of her own measured breath. A diplomat by rank, medic by training, she carried herself with the calm precision of someone who had patched wounds under bombardment. At her side padded Kira, a Belgian Malinois, her harness marked by the compact insignia of the Terran diplomatic corps. Every paw step landed silently, yet each movement radiated alertness.
"They stare as though you are the exhibit,"
Mara whispered. Kira's ear twitched, her gaze forward but aware of every rustle. A faint thump of her tail brushed Mara's calf, an acknowledgement, nothing more. Commander Zilla approached, her silver-gray uniform immaculate, expression clipped into neutrality. She bowed slightly.
"Dr. Kepler, Lord Varesh extends appreciation for honoring today's Heritage Review. He hopes you'll indulge his demonstrations."
Mara smiled without warmth.
"The Compact calls this a review. Varesh calls it preservation. We'll see which one history chooses."
Zilla's lips pressed thin.
"Tread carefully. His supporters are eager to cement the companion clause."
She glanced at Kira.
"The presence of your partner may complicate perception. Then let them see what partnership looks like."
Mara continued, boots ringing lightly against the crystalline floor. The chamber opened into a vast amphitheater lined with tiers of nobles, each seat a halo of light. At the center stood Lord Varesh himself, robes trailing like smoke, a smile carved from stone. His voice unfurled across the hall, smooth and resonant.
"Behold, honored guests, the menagerie of marvels. Here we preserve the noble species of our galaxy, beasts tamed, curiosities displayed, a living testament to civilization's dominion over the wild."
He gestured to the habitats, to claws behind crystal, to wings clipped by invisible fields.
"And today, the Terrans bring us their most beloved companion, a creature bred to heal, to guard, to obey."
Eyes turned toward Mara. She felt the weight of their gaze, heavy as chains, but her shoulders remained straight.
"Kira,"
she murmured.
"With me."
The dog matched her step, head level, chest proud, not a performer but a partner. Yet she felt the ripple of disdain through the hall. To them, it was proof of Varesh's point. A handler approached, or, his skin pale against the black of his uniform, electroprod in hand. The weapon crackled, ozone sharp in the air. He smirked as he drew it close to Kira's muzzle, letting the charge spit. Kira froze, ears flicking back, gaze locked on Mara. A single breath carried the question. Mara lowered her palm, steady, deliberate.
"Stand."
The dog stilled. Muscles trembled with restraint, but she obeyed.
"Remarkable,"
Varesh purred.
"Conditioned perfectly. Perhaps the Terrans will grace us with a demonstration? Let us see obedience in action." "No."
Mara's voice cut through the chamber, quiet yet undeniable.
"She is not here for your entertainment. She is my medical partner. She alerts me to anomalies in my physiology, protects my well-being. She is not a spectacle."
Laughter rolled across the seats, brittle as glass. Varesh spread his hands.
"Oh, but doctor, that is precisely the point. See how the primate protests while her beast waits upon her word. Proof of hierarchy. Proof of control."
Or stepped closer. His prod flicked outward, too near, too sudden. A jab meant not for Kira, but for Mara's ribs. The world narrowed. Kira moved like a blade. No sound, only motion. Her jaws snapped around the insulated shaft, teeth clamped in perfect grip. She twisted, torque snapping sparks from the prod, shoving it away from Mara's body. Then she planted herself between human and threat, hackles a subtle ridge, growled low and contained. Gasps scattered like birds. Security tensed, weapons half-drawn.
Kira, heal!
Mara commanded, her tone firm, sharp with authority. Instant obedience. Kira released, stepped back to Mara's side, gaze unbroken. Her chest rose steady, as though she had not just disarmed a weapon. Varesh's smile widened.
Observe, dear guests, the savage instinct beneath the veneer. An attack beast, concealed beneath the mask of civility. Dangerous. Unfit for civilized space. No.
Mara's voice carried, amplified by restraint rather than volume. She touched her mic.
She did not attack. She defended. When a threat is raised, she intercedes. And she stopped the moment I asked. That is not savagery. That is discipline. That is trust.
A murmur swept the audience. Some doubtful, some moved. Varesh's eyes gleamed, predator to predator.
Call it what you will. The compact must decide if such partnerships belong among us.
Before Mara could reply, an alarm sliced through the air. Red lights flared across the gallery. Zilla's voice crackled over comms.
Pressure variance detected in the underdeck beneath this habitat. Possible breach. Security teams deploy.
The hall erupted in restless whispers. Varesh lifted his hands theatrically.
A most unfortunate disruption. For everyone's safety, I propose the Terran's beast be placed in protective custody until this incident is resolved.
Mara's jaw tightened.
Absolutely not. Surely you cannot object. It is for safety. It is for spectacle.
Mara snapped. She glanced at Zilla.
Commander, compact law recognizes service partners. Separation is not authorized.
Zilla hesitated, eyes darting between Varesh's poised smile and Mara's steady glare.
The matter will be reviewed after inspection. For now, Dr. Kepler, you and your partner will accompany the team to the underdeck.
Varesh inclined his head, robes whispering like wings.
A fair compromise. Let the Terran prove her words in the station's bones.
Mara touched her wrist console, transmitting a quick encrypted burst to an underdeck relay. If we disappear, release the recording. She bent slightly, hand brushing Kira's shoulder.
With me.
Kira pressed close, warm and solid. As security formed up around them, or retrieved his dented prod, glaring with venom that promised another attempt. Varesh turned to his audience, voice smooth as velvet.
Honored guests, you have witnessed the truth. Even among so-called equals, instinct triumphs. Let us proceed with wisdom as we consider the treaty before us.
The nobles applauded, uncertain but obedient. Mara felt the sound rattle the floor, hollow and false. She walked forward, Kira at her side, into the uncertain dark of the underdeck. The glass habitats faded behind them, beasts pacing in silence. The true predators were not in cages. The lift doors sealed with a hiss, dropping them from the crystalline corridors into the dim service veins beneath Arca Primus. The air shifted, drier, tinged with metal and ozone. Pipes webbed the ceiling, carrying the lifeblood of the station, water, oxygen, recycled waste. The hum of machinery replaced the cultured silence of the menagerie above. Mara adjusted her jacket and glanced at Kira. The Malinois padded close, tail low but steady, ears shifting like living antennae. Her nose twitched, catching scents the humans could not name. Or walked ahead with his electroprod holstered, smugness radiating off him. 2 station officers trailed behind, their postures professional but uncertain. Commander Zilla had stayed above, leaving the inspection to them.
Quite the fall from grace,
or muttered over his shoulder.
From the gallery to the gutters. Fitting for an animal and her handler.
Mara didn't rise to the bait. Silence unsettled bullies more than anger. She only touched Kira's harness lightly, a signal that all was well. The corridor widened into a junction. Screens flickered with pressure readings. One value blinked amber, warning of instability. Condensation beaded on the wall, dripping rhythmically onto the deck. From the shadows stepped a figure in oil-stained coveralls. He was lean, hair tied back, face lined by years of work beneath noble notice. He held a toolkit instead of a weapon. "You're late," he said flatly. "Variants nearly tripped the failsafes." His eyes slid to Mara. "You're not Threxel. Mara Kepler. Terran envoy." She gestured to her partner. "This is Kira. You must be the engineer assigned here?" "Name's Jax," he said, not offering a hand but nodding at the dog. His wary expression eased when Kira sniffed the air, tail giving a small, approving wag. "She trusts you," Mara said. "That's good enough for me." Or scoffed. "Your beast doesn't get to decide who's trustworthy." "Better her than you," Jax muttered, crouching by the panel. The engineer's hands moved quickly, exposing a narrow fracture in the hull's reinforcement. Not natural, cut with precision tools. "See this scoring? Someone planted it. Right timing, wrong place, and this whole section would have vented atmosphere during the treaty session." Mara crouched beside him, studying the marks. "Controlled sabotage. Enough to frighten, not enough to kill. A staged emergency to sway the vote." Kira's ears pricked sharply. She turned her head, nose to the shadows, a low rumble vibrating in her chest. "What is it?" Mara whispered. The dog stepped forward, muzzle near a conduit. She pawed once at the floor. Jax followed her cue, sliding open a panel. Inside blinked a small drone, dormant until disturbed. Its optics glowed faintly, primed for activation. "Trip surveillance?" Jax muttered. "Would have recorded panic. Might have triggered a cascade." Mara's fingers brushed her console. "Can you pull the data core?" He hesitated. "Risky. If it's booby-trapped." Kira growled again, sharp and low. "That's a warning," Mara said. "Disarm it." Jack sighed, muttered something about trusting dogs over engineers, and set to work. With careful precision, he clipped a circuit, twisted 2 wires, and slid out the glowing core. The drone shuddered once, then stilled. He plugged it into his wrist console. Grainy footage filled the display. A man in black uniform placing the drone, his face unmistakable. Or. Behind him, Varesh's sigil flickered in authorization. Mara's jaw tightened. She lifted her gaze to Or. "Explain this." Or paled, then sneered. "Fabrication. Anyone could forge a feed." Jack shook his head. "Checksum's clean. No tampering. It's yours." Mara transmitted the file to Zilla with a quick note. Chain of custody confirmed by underdeck authority. Or's hand drifted toward his prod. Kira's lips peeled back in silent warning, teeth glinting in the dim light. He froze. Jax pushed to his feet. "You know what this means, don't you? He wasn't just staging panic. He was setting us up." "Not us," Mara corrected. "Me and Kira. If she reacted badly on record, they'd brand all Terrans as unstable." The corridor vibrated suddenly with heavy footsteps. From both ends, shadows converged. Threxel guards with nets and glare shields, weapons raised. "Ambush!" Jax hissed. Or smirked. "Orders are orders. Hand over the animal." The first net launched, whistling through the air. Kira sprang sideways, jaws catching the mesh, twisting violently until the anchors clattered against the wall. She spat it free, eyes burning with focus. Mara hurled a flash screamer from her belt. The device erupted in searing white light, tuned to overload alien retinas but safe for canine and human eyes. The guard staggered, shields useless. Jack slammed his palm against a pressure valve, and a side hatch hissed open, venting compressed air. The gust toppled 2 attackers into the bulkhead. Mara moved in tight coordination, years of disaster drills in her muscles.
Kira, guard!
The dog pressed forward, not to maul but to control, her body blocking the corridor, her growl a living barrier. The guards hesitated, suddenly unwilling to test her. Or raised his prod, fury twisting his face. Mara's voice cut through the chaos, calm and unyielding.
Try it, and this recording shows the compact who you really are.
The hesitation cost him. One officer, eyes wide, shoved Orr's arm down.
Enough. This is madness.
The rest faltered, retreating into the shadows. Orr cursed, but numbers dwindled. Breathing hard, Jax wiped sweat from his brow.
Not bad for a diplomat. Not bad for an engineer.
Mara countered. She bent, checking Kira's harness.
Any injuries?
The dog licked her chin once, then returned to a steady heel. Mara uploaded the captured footage, locking it under compact encryption with Jax as witness. Zilla's reply came seconds later. Evidence received. Varesh is pushing for immediate vote. He demands custody of the dog within the hour.
They won't stop,
Jax said grimly.
He'll purge us all down here if he thinks it'll protect his legacy. Purge?
Mara's voice sharpened. Jax gestured deeper into the underdeck.
There are more rescues, strays, kids who keep them. Dogs smuggled in, abandoned, adopted. They call themselves packs. Threxel's security lists them as biohazards. One order and they'll be erased.
Mara's stomach clenched. She looked at Kira, then back at Jax.
Then we can't reveal this yet. Not until we can protect them too. You'll gamble the evidence? I'll gamble on timing,
Mara said.
We'll use the sabotage and the ambush in one strike when the hall is watching. Then we demand sanctuary.
Jack studied her, skepticism hardening into reluctant respect.
You Terrans are reckless. Resilient,
Mara corrected. Kira pressed her head against Mara's knee, a quiet weight, grounding the moment. Mara exhaled slowly.
We hold the line. For them. For everyone who can't stand here.
Jax nodded.
Then let's make sure Varesh doesn't have a second trigger.
Together, they moved deeper into the warrens, dog leading, engineer guiding, diplomat calculating. Above, the nobles whispered in silk. Down here, the station's true heart waited, and the choice that would shape the compact's future. The grand hall blazed with banners. Colors of 100 houses shimmered like falling stars, and rows of nobles lined the tiers in restless anticipation. Above them, holofeeds replayed the menagerie incident on loop, Kira intercepting the prod, the freeze frame of bare teeth. Every repetition reinforced Varesh's narrative. Terrans and their animals were dangerous. At the center stood a ring of polished stone, raised like an arena. Lord Varesh descended into it with practiced grace, robes trailing as if the hall itself bent to his will. His voice, rich as velvet, rolled across the audience.
Honored delegates, you have seen the peril. These creatures, dressed in civility, conceal claws beneath their smiles. Their beasts, trained for violence, wait only for a misstep. Shall we enshrine savagery within our compact?
Applause rippled, though not unanimous. Suspicion warred with unease. Mara entered through the opposite arch, Kira at heel. The Malinois moved with measured precision, each step steady, eyes scanning. Every camera fixed on them. Mara felt the weight but walked unbowed, posture unbroken. Varesh's smile widened.
Dr. Kepler, you arrived just in time. Show the hall you are civilized. Surrender your beast for review. In exchange, I will withdraw my emergency petition. A merciful compromise.
A murmur swept the chamber. Many wanted the scandal buried quickly. Mara raised her wrist console.
Before this hall decides, You should see the truth.
The projection lit the dome. Grainy but undeniable, or planting the drone, Varesh's sigil authorizing the sabotage. The sabotage meant to trigger panic, to cast Terrans as threats. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Varesh's hand rose, theatrical.
A fabrication. Any image can be forged. Chain of custody confirmed by underdeck engineer Jax.
Mara countered.
Checksum validated. This evidence is clean.
A spotlight swept to the gallery where Jax stood, grease-streaked, holding a console high.
I pulled it myself. Tamper-proof. You all know our systems.
His voice cracked but carried. The hall erupted in argument, accusations, denials, questions tumbling over each other. Desperate, or lunged from the side, Prod aimed not at Mara, but at Kira, hoping for blood that would vindicate their story. The moment stretched thin. Kira's weight shifted forward, muscles tensed, but she held. Her gaze locked on Mara, waiting. The prod stopped inches from her muzzle. Mara's voice sliced the silence.
She doesn't move unless I say. That is trust. That is partnership. What you saw in the menagerie was not savagery, it was loyalty. And loyalty is what built humanity.
Security swarmed, wrenching or to the floor. His weapon clattered, sparks scattering across stone. Mara turned slowly, addressing the hall.
Humans did not rise alone. We rose with companions. Dogs ran beside us when fire was new. They guarded us, hunted with us, bled for us. Not as property, never as slaves, but as partners. That bond is older than any throne in this chamber.
A hush fell. Nobles leaned forward, wrapped to spite themselves. Mara continued, her voice low but steady.
Varesh wants you to believe partnership is possession. He wants to reduce life to property. But the compact can be more. It can protect trust. It can honor chosen bonds. It can recognize that family is not always born of blood, but of choice.
She tapped her console. A new projection flared, footage from the underdeck. Children laughing as rescued dogs wagged tails. Orphans nestled against warm fur. Medics showing therapy records. Veterans displaying scars healed with canine help. Not spectacle, life.
This,
Mara said,
is what Varesh calls a hazard. This is what he would erase. If you vote for his clause, you legalize chains. If you pass mine, the pact clause, you protect families. Not just humans and dogs, but every species that chooses partnership.
The hall roared in debate. Some nobles shouted in outrage, others nodded, others whispered urgently to aides. Varesh's face twisted, charm collapsing into fury.
Lies! Sentiment dressed as law. They endanger us all.
He slammed a control on his cuff.
If you will not see, then you will feel.
An alarm shrieked. Varesh's sabotage triggered again, yet nothing happened. From the gallery, Jax grinned, hands still smeared with grease.
We fixed your trick, lordship. No more toys.
The chamber exploded in chaos. Guards seized Varesh, his protests echoing. Zilla rose from her chair, voice amplified.
Evidence stands. Sabotage confirmed. The council will vote now.
The lights dimmed as tallies appeared across the dome. Names blinked green or red. One by one, houses cast their lot. When the final mark glowed, the verdict was clear. The pact clause had passed. The roar that followed was unlike the brittle applause before. It carried conviction, relief, even admiration. Mara dropped to one knee, unclipping Kira's leash. Cameras zoomed in, every eye watching. She held out her hand.
Heel?
It was not a command but a question. Kira paused, ears pricked, gaze steady. Then she stepped forward, pressing against Mara's side by choice. A wave of silence rippled through the chamber as understanding sank in. Mara looked up.
You laughed at our pets. We laughed too, at campfires, at rescues, at the sound of paws on the floor after a long day. That laughter was joy. Threaten one of us, and you call all of us. That is the difference.
Varesh screamed as he was dragged away, his voice drowned beneath the rising swell of the hall. The vote was sealed, the law rewritten. Kira leaned her head into Mara's leg, eyes reflecting the lights of the dome. In her gaze was no savagery, no submission, only the simple, enduring truth of partnership. The compact had witnessed it, and it would not be forgotten.